I played Dune Awakening. In this video today, I'll be sharing my experience with you as I smashed 40 hours into the beta. This preview, we were given access to 3 zones out of the 12 existing on the map. Hagar Basin South, West Vermilius Gap, and Eastern Vermilius Gap. Despite only being 3 zones, there was a ton of space to play around in and many cool features to uncover and explore. If you want an adventure, Dune will definitely provide that in mass. Despite it being a desert planet, meaning a lot of sand, there were plenty of interesting architectures to explore, including shipwrecks, enemy camps, and the infamous Imperial testing stations, which I really enjoyed exploring my heart out in those, as it fulfilled my loot goblin-y itch, and it was good fun challenging the enemies in there with my flashy abilities. If you want to dive into the lore of Arrakis, this game is extremely immersive. From the creaks and groans of ravenous sandworms to the characters you meet along the way. You meet a Fremen man called Xantara as your first signs of life on Arrakis. He does a great job of guiding you through the first section of the game whilst you're adjusting to your new life on this harsh desert planet. He's not the only sign of life you bump into though on your travels. As you explore trading posts and places in the world, you can chat to different characters. Some will give you some major sass and the others will choose to be kinder to you. But if you don't fancy face-to-face interactions, in the labs there are plenty of green tape recorders you can listen to that give you bits of story here and there, as well as free whole radio stations I highly recommend using whilst playing, as you get news, stories, interviews, and music to listen to whilst you grind up some granite for your base. One of the things I immensely enjoyed in Dune Awakening were vehicles. We got to play around with the first vehicle in the game, which was the copper sand bike. These are hella fun and hella fast. I was tearing up my own sandstorm on one of these babies. You can either make one or steal a severely damaged one out of the camps. They feel really good to drive around on, but they can be a bit drifty, which can be a positive thing when you're making donuts in the sand, but not so good if you clip a rock. Do a barrel roll. You can upgrade your bikes to a different metal tier as well, which I got to make an iron tier bike. Those take a lot more flak than the copper ones, and you can use better upgrades on those. My only complaint was it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the copper and the iron bike, as they look very similar visually. I might have also found a cheeky ground car in one of the testing stations.
These museum pieces are constantly malfunctioning, and they're cool.
I was super glad to find a second vehicle type, even if it was a battered burning buggy. It felt like a heist dismantling it to take it out of the dungeon. I'm not sure if it was intended to be there or not, but it was, so... Honestly, this thing drives like a dream. The handling is very smooth on these, and it's a lot more stable than the bikes, as expected from a four-wheeler. Hopefully the next one I ride isn't as crispy, but it lived up to the buggy on fire hype. The environment felt on point with the theme of Arrakis. The sandworms are extremely scary. They will often remind you of their existence, even if you're in a safe space. You can see them burrowing in the sand, throwing up massive dust clouds. I've had a few instances when I'm crossing the sand, I felt them burrow underneath me, which is really freaky. Be wary of open sands. Of course, the developers made sure there was lots of open sand you have to rush across. Oh, you have no idea how many times I just spammed the screenshot button. You nearly went in there.
Oh my god, I didn't know where it went. I was confused.
Bro, that was crazy placement of it. Dude, look how crazy that is.
Oh my god.
Sandstorms also frequent the world, going across in different waves. You get a couple of minutes warning before having to dive into shelter or hugging the side of an overhang. They are great to view at a distance, just don't get caught in one, otherwise you're getting shredded. One of my favorite dangers to play around with were the falling shipwrecks. These plummeted from the skies above into the open sands. Racing towards them was highly exhilarating, as you have a small amount of time to find the loot on the wreck and then drive away at speed before a sandworm appears to not only eat you, but the ship as well. It could swallow whole. Combat was engaging in the moments I tried it out, especially in higher difficulty areas, when it's required to make good use of your abilities and make better weapons. There's a good selection of weapons to use, the spit dart being one of my favorites, as it's like a sniper rifle. The swords are pretty eloquent to swing around. The mauler is the first dart shooter you get. It's very bouncy, not very accurate, but that makes sense as you're basically smashing up some rusty bolts and nails together to make a weapon. The rifles were fun, and I found a snub-nosed pistol in a loot chest, which slapped pretty hard. Overall, I felt like I had fun with combat engagements. There were often times I was taken aback with the shielded melee NPCs, as they full-on run up to you and slam their knee into your face. It's not the silkiest of systems animation-wise. Sometimes the AI did act a little funky. However, sometimes they also surprised me, especially in higher level areas, as they act smarter I found higher up the map. It was satisfactory to me either way, and I still had a good time figuring out scenarios and testing out the arsenal of abilities I had access to. Building was class in Dune Awakening. There's lots of parts you can use to make a fun and unique base. You can even choose to put your building on the highest of places if you wish. I really like the blueprinting system, where you can lay out your entire base in blueprints before spending any of the resources to actually make it. The tool is easy to use, although the categories on the UI I did find a bit confusing when going into them. You kind of just flick through them until you get the right one. There are different sets as well, like the chain one you get mid-game and the crispy clean granite one you start out with. The base claiming sub-thief did feel a little small of an area to build in on the first one, but you can actually upgrade that to a bigger space. On the sub-thieves, it would be really cool if there was a function to upgrade it. If I missed it, I'm sorry, but when I tried to upgrade it myself, I couldn't find a way to do it, which meant I had to remove my first sub-thief, which unclaimed the area, which was a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. And I can imagine it would be an absolute mare if you were in a busy area. With all that being said, what is my opinion on Dune Awakening as a whole? From playing the beta, I felt like it was a really well thought out survival exploration game. You can either follow the tracks or go your own path. I really enjoyed exploring. There was plenty of POIs to see, lots going on with the world, from spice blows to crashing wreckages to being stopped in the name of the law by patrol ships. The sandworms are truly epic. The story implementation is nice but not overbearing, which still allows you to do your own thing whilst interacting with it. I'm not a great fan of the hotbar UI whilst in your inventory, but it's okay. Durability on equipment felt fair and good. Progression was really well thought out, especially in the early game. You can even choose when starting the game if you'd like it more hand-holdy or if you'd like to figure it out yourself with less guidance. I felt there was a lot to do. There was unique schematics for specialized equipment you can find everywhere in the world, especially on really high up places you can snag these, which makes it a fun climbing parkour challenge. I am definitely curious about the social multiplayer aspect with Dune. I didn't get to see much of it when I played. I saw a couple people running around in my time playing who were friendly and gave me the general friendly crouch and jump hello. A lot of the stuff I did though didn't really spur the need for other people or encourage me to interact with others either. I think this will flourish more when the full game is out and we get to see the 2 social hubs mentioned in the dev streams, and they get that trading system up and running. I didn't really see much, if at all, any PvP zones in the first 3 sections of the map. The only places that were the 2 shipwrecks I found in the Vermilius Gap, which are a small fraction of space occupied in these areas. It even warns you if you're about to enter a PvP zone, which is nice. It's nice to have a little area to have a friendly spat in or try some weapons out. The AI on NPCs is about average from what you see in many of today's survival games. Hopefully when you go further up the map they get a bit more spicy, as I found they were a lot more fun to interact with when I went into the higher level testing stations, like testing station 10 in the east of Vermilius Gap. I think if you like games like Conan Exiles, Ark Survival, Enshrouded, 7 Days to Die, The Forest, or Rust, you will definitely like Dune Awakening. It has certain aspects of challenge in it, which makes it interesting. I'm interested in seeing what the game looks like in the long run, what their plans are. With the Dune franchise under their belt, they could do quite a lot with it. I am really excited for the game's launch. I had a great time and I definitely do recommend it. If you'd like to see my experience through the first hours of gameplay, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that video coming very soon. I will be covering Dune Awakening a lot on my channel, as it's shown me it's a really promising game I want to play more of. But either way, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I love you and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.